But still, Ethereum outperforms pretty much everyone, even like Solana, I think, in terms of utility. I see Ethereum as a universal kind of layer one security layer, and all the innovations should be happening around that. My name is Nikolay Volf. I'm CEO and founder of Gear Technologies. So currently we're working on our new product, which is Gear.exe. So it's basically all we want is to provide best development experience, kind of Web3 space. So it's really smooth development, like Web 2 level of features and so on. And we did our kind of first product that implements that as a wire network. But it's kind of standalone network, which barely connects to any other. So it's kind of more like a experimental network, despite it still has some utility in many cases. But we want to kind of be exposed to a large amount of users and liquidity in the Ethereum ecosystem. And we launched basically Gear.exe, which is just the same wire network, just with much more exposure to the Ethereum community. And also, it is also working as a kind of improvement on top of Ethereum as an application platform, like complement Ethereum with many new exciting features you can find on modern blockchains.
I'd like to talk about your background as well. Can you share your journey into blockchain and the inspiration of founding Gear Technologies?
Yeah, I mean, I always had an engineering background, so I started coding when I was like 8 years old. Until about 2016, I worked mostly on in like a typical enterprise product development, and around 2016, before Ethereum even had a first version, had an official launch, kind of joined the team of Gavin Wood, who kind of just left an Ethereum Foundation, and we with several other engineering basically started to implement in Ethereum itself. It was like called a parity Ethereum back then, and I really kind of dived into this open source, and I guess there was no better company to dive with back then. And then we did like a lot of things in Parity Technologies. Obviously, it was then we actually implemented Bitcoin, but it's like kind of less known stuff. And then Polkadot and Substrate framework, which is kind of foundational to many projects now. I mean Substrate framework, which is now called Polkadot SDK, and obviously Polkadot itself, which is I guess. One of the best technology-wise products on the market now. And after Polkadot became an actual live network, then I kind of became a little bit bored with especially Parity Technologies also grew like 200 people more, and it became really hard to hard to feel motivated in this environment, and I decided to launch Gear Technologies, which is basically initially was thought as an application layer for Polkadot, exactly because Polkadot doesn't have internal smart contracts engine, and somebody need to come up with and build some modern application layer. And 3-something years passed since that, and we developed our protocol and deployed it as a standalone network, which I already covered a little bit in the beginning. Here we are now, and we'll have next exciting step quite soon.
Nice. We'll talk about those next steps in a bit, but can you maybe touch on the vision behind Gear Technologies and how you see it fit in the evolution of blockchains?
Yeah, in Gear Technologies, we want to provide best development experience. So what people in traditional development get used to. So, for example, you have a lot of tools, a lot of libraries. You don't need to care about a lot of things that blockchain developers care now, like a limited computation or limited storage. We want Web3 development to be as smooth and as easy as a regular, development for cloud or for your own web server. So, at this point of time, it's really possible, and we aim to do that to kind of allow traditional developers to just put their applications in this Web3 world and enjoy, censorship resistance, 100% uptime they get obviously with any sensible Web3 platform, application platform. So yeah, this is our kind of main goal and main vision, and will be this for a long time.
Nice. So let's talk about Gear Protocol. Can you tell us about what distinguishes Gear Protocol from other blockchain protocols in terms of scalability and developer experience?
Gear Protocol itself, it's just a compilation of best practices of how in a completely decentralized and kind of asynchronous world, the components and applications should behave. So that would be, we use, for example, actor model for communications, where each program or smart contract or application, whatever you called it, each like actor is an actor. So we just call it actors, and it can handle any input data, touch only its own state, and it can interact with the outside of world or other actors in the system or user or like bridge or whatever, only through passing messages and waiting for replies or not waiting, obviously. This really, it's like 40 years of study computer science. It's called actor model for communications, and really any kind of scalable approach to massive computations always kind of need to. It is known that this actor model for communications really only sensible approach to the massive computations at scale, especially when we see now hardware, for example, doesn't scale with the improved frequencies and improved single core performance, but rather it scales with a number of cores. And also, for example, GPUs are adding massive computational advancements, and all in all, you need to be to have as parallelizable protocol as possible to be future-proof, and we kind of take this into account in Gear Protocol. Also, for Gear Protocols itself has this notion of so-called persistent memory, whereas in other protocols it's usually they have like a special opcodes or special syscalls for access and storage, while we just say that whatever memory your program touches, it will be saved and then restored somewhere down the execution, and so you can be just sure that your kind of application persists, and it's like a forever running application. You don't need to care about anything else. Also, we use WebAssembly, which is very well supported and very well designed virtual machine designed by the guys like from Apple, Amazon, all those guys. And they designed it for exactly the use case we care about, so execution of some code that you don't know about, and you still need to execute it like securely and in a performant fashion. This is kind of one of the WebAssembly goals. And it's already running in every browser, so very well supported virtual machine.
Nice. So how does WebAssembly actually enhance smart contract functionality?
I wouldn't say it enhances it as it is. Obviously, performance come to mind. So WebAssembly is very low-level instruction set, and it's really very similar of some hypothetical CPU, for example. It contains all the instructions that some hypothetical CPU would have, and it really translates into modern CPUs in just like in single pass translation. So you can have, if you have WebAssembly, then you can have in no time when the actual execution happens, because WebAssembly itself is a virtual machine. So before executing something, you need to translate it commands in hardware commands. And for WebAssembly, it's very easy because its instruction set already kind of close to the real hardware out in the world, be that, for example, M1 MacBook, or be it like a traditional PC. It's still very, very close to both of these instruction set, and you just translate it to one go and get very performant application. So the case thing here is that WebAssembly is very close to native execution and really adds a lot of speed to the execution. The other thing is probably a security aspect, because WebAssembly is a very well-defined virtual machine, and basically you can even, from the specification of WebAssembly, you can even, it's specified so well that you can even get a compiler from the specification without coding anything. So it's also kind of, and it's designed by very well-known computer scientists and engineers. So it's also great. It also adds to the security of the virtual machine.
How does Gear Foundation support and engage with the developer community? Can you talk about the Gear Academy in regards to this as well?
Yeah, we have a lot of educational stuff. So where we just teach people how to do that. Gear Academy is basically like a course where you have like a lot of practical things to do, and you will get accustomed to how to develop for Gear and for development in general. So even if you're kind of new to programming, but still can program some, it should be great.
Can you tell me about Vara and how you got started with that and what you're aiming to solve with it?
Vara is the first product that we deployed that uses this Gear protocol. It's completely open source, completely permissionless network and it basically implements first implementation of our protocol as a standalone network. So it has very low latency, have massive performance, and basically has the same utility as other layer ones out there, be that, I don't know, Aptos, Solana, whatever. And it's very well suited for gaming, because gaming usually don't need exposure to a large amount of liquidity, and just need a low latency and high performance. And then still we have a lot of L1s already in the space. So just adding another one is not what we always aimed for. And still Vara network will be foundational to many things we deploy, because we test new features there. We kind of try new ways of interacting with end users and so on. So it's kind of, we'll stay here for a long time as well.
Nice. So let's talk about Gear.exe. It's been described as a bridges solution connecting layer 2s. How does it achieve this integration without the need for traditional bridges?
Traditional tools are usually kind of try to make additional the whole blockchain apart from Ethereum. So they have this, all the Ethereum has, but separately. And then they try to commit what happens on this new L2 blockchain to Ethereum. and make sure that it gets verified by the Ethereum that state transition of their blockchain kind of moves forward correctly and according to rules they declared beforehand. And we in Gear.exe, we basically do a little bit differently, despite Gear.exe is still a kind of layer 2 solution, but we do it a little bit differently in terms of we treat each application that is deployed on GearX as a small kind of roll-up on its own, and then we make a communication network that consists of these small roll-ups, applications deployed on the Gear.exe through Ethereum, and the Ethereum itself and the users. So we put them all in a singular network where each of the state of these entities is separated as a Gear protocol dictates us. So they're all kind of in this their own state, and we can process all this stuff in parallel and accept messages directly to one of those entities, so be that our kind of users or application or whatever, and put those messages that they need to process separately. And so all the state is kind of isolated and is stored exactly where it needs to be stored. So we don't have like a global state, and we secure each of this small roll-up on its own, and its communications are also secured because, and about the security mechanism, ultimately when we have like zero knowledge proofs, real-time zero knowledge proofs performant, then we use that to secure each of the individual computations happening on the network. But until then, we just piggyback on a liquidity staking partner that basically answers the same questions that zero knowledge proofs would have answered. But we using this cryptoeconomic liquid security to kind of do it instead of and until then they can be effectively asked those questions.
So what upcoming features or enhancements are planned for Gear.exe?
For Gear.exe, now we are kind of we're already live on Holesky. We have not deployed several features there. So, and at the same time, we kind of gather partners that will go us on this journey. And currently, I think we are kind of 6 months or something from deploying on the mainnet Ethereum itself. And we have several features which are not yet shipped, and we have to gather a lot of big partners before we go live. So this are our current priorities.
My name is Luis Ramirez. I'm actually head of DevRel at Gear Foundation. So we are working to create a decentralized technology to bring developers into this cool blockchain.
Nice. So let's dive into Gear Foundation then. Can you share what the mission and the vision behind the Gear Foundation is, and how it aligns with the broader goals of the Ethereum ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. Well, Gear Foundation actually is working to create the technology and tools so developers can build, scale, and really easy to use applications so developers can interact with this API and build dApps in a really easy way and fast. So Gear Foundation is behind the core technology. We have different options for developers, starting with Gear Protocol, Bar Network, and now Gear.exe, which is related absolutely with Ethereum. Now we're facing the problem that Ethereum and other layer 1 has, which actually is a scalability problem, right? Then Gear.exe is solving this without fragmentation, and is a co-processor for the Ethereum ecosystem with Parallelism. We can talk more about this later, but this is the main idea.
Understood. So what inspired the establishment of Gear Foundation, and what core challenges are you addressing in the ecosystem?
Yeah, the first and more important one, I will say, this adoption, because we have different technologies over there trying to create layer 1s faster and with a lot of tooling, but something important is to prove what the developers need in order to create applications in this ecosystem. So Gear Foundation is working really hard to bring this technology and provide to the developers this kind of tool. And yeah, I guess that we are going to the right direction right now. We are working with different developers around the world, and providing elements to create this technology so the end user will interact with this application in the really easy way.
So let's talk about the developer relations. You're the head of DevRel.
Yeah.
So like what strategies does the Gear Foundation employ to foster engagement within the developer community?
Yeah, well, we work with different communities around the world. Gear Foundation has official presence in different countries like LATAM, US, India, Spain, China, and others. Then we are working pretty close with developers Web 2 and Web 3, so they can understand how powerful is the technology behind the Gear Foundation toolings and APIs. And then we are teaching this technology, and also we have templates, so any developer can use to start the application, and they can build really fast applications in this ecosystem. Even though something important is that we use really powerful technology, like for example, Rust and WebAssembly, which are not easy to use at the beginning, but with the tooling and the API that we have, a developer with the basic understanding of Rust will be able to build something really nice in the Web3 ecosystem.
Fantastic. We'll dive into the technical aspects in just a second, but just keeping on the developer relations now, could you highlight some initiatives aimed at supporting and expanding the developer community?
Yeah, well, actually, the whole idea with this is working with communities, and we have something special with universities. This is something really nice because we are onboarding the next Web3 developers, and we're trying to avoid using just specific concepts about what you are using as. We are calling this like the next generation of internet. So we are providing enough information so they can understand what is the difference to build between a Web 2 and Web 3, but using all these capabilities that Vara Network and Gear Protocol is providing, and now Gear.exe to the Ethereum users.
Nice. And Gear Foundation also has a grants program, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Can you introduce us to that program and how it encourages innovation among developers?
Yeah, any developer around the world can apply for a grant. We have a grants program that you can access in the website Vara.network/grants. So if you have an idea and you have a project that you want to build on top of Vara, you can apply. You only need to provide all information like who is the team behind your idea, the marketing strategy. This is really important because any developer with the basic understanding of Web3 technologies, if you want to build in Vara, you need to learn, understand Rust and substrate-based ecosystem. But if you build a project, the next challenge is to make this project available to users and make something really useful. So marketing strategy and go-to-market strategy is really important for us, so we can understand that this project is really complete and they are ready not only to build, but also to work with real users.
What recent advancements in the Gear protocol are you most excited about? And how do they relate back to Ethereum ecosystem? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, something important to keep in mind first is that Gear protocol is solving a problem about scalability with three pillars. We have the actor model, we have persistent memory, and we have WebAssembly. These three elements enable developers to create applications scalable, but also using parallelism. So it works with our layer one called Vara Network. And with this technology, we were thinking how to give these capabilities to the Ethereum ecosystem. So the core team started a new technology called Gear.exe, which actually is an Ethereum coprocessor. So any application on Ethereum ecosystem that is working right now is able to use Gear.exe as a coprocessor. So, for example, if you have off-chain processes, or you have on-chain processes, but it's really expensive to run it, you can use this engine, which is a decentralized compute network, Gear.exe, and process all the information on Gear.exe, and after only receive the result and continue with all the mechanisms of your current smart contract. Why we are doing this? Because we are providing an option to scale Ethereum but without fragmentation, and also enable the users to decrease the gas fees and increase the speed of the application.
Can you elaborate on the integration of the WebAssembly in Gear Protocol and how it benefits smart contract development?
Yeah, sure. WebAssembly is a Web 2 technology. So WebAssembly started with web browsers when we wanted to create web applications faster and secure. Mozilla engineers start creating this called WebAssembly, right? Which is basically a binary format that it's enabled to be run by a virtual machine, the WebAssembly virtual machine. Any developer that understands whatever programming language compatible with WebAssembly is able to build an application in Web 2. For example, WebAssembly so far is compatible with more of 20 programming languages, C, C++, Rust, Swift, and so on. And bringing this technology into the Web3 ecosystem is providing now really huge behaviors, almost like magic. Let me explain why. Because using WebAssembly enables something called forkless, which enables to the blockchain to update the binary that was built on WebAssembly format, and you are able to update this on runtime. Then any blockchain with this technology is able to update the runtime without stopping the nodes, without changing anything, only sending this information to the blockchain, and the WASM engine will change it automatically. In the smart contract, how can we improve our technology with WebAssembly? Actually, as a really secure binary format, then we can use it to generate code. For example, we use Rust as programming language. Then we create a binary compatible with WebAssembly, and we send it to the blockchain. So this will be executed on chain, and the virtual machine, WebAssembly virtual machine, will execute the code, which is bytecode based on WebAssembly in a really fast and secure way. This is something really nice. The fusion between Rust, a really secure programming language with capabilities of creating scalable solutions, with WebAssembly, the binary format that is able to be run in a virtual machine in this way.
Understood. Thank you for that overview. So we're at DEF CON today.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask what is Gear Foundation's primary objectives and activities at DEF CON this year?
Yeah, well, DEF CON is one of the biggest, if not the bigger event around the world related to Ethereum. A lot of developers around the world is coming here. So it's really interesting that now that we have this Gear.exe solution, we are working with these developers so they can understand the power of this technology. So yeah, in general, we are talking with projects, we're talking with developers so they can understand that Gear.exe exists and how can they benefit from this technology. And we start collaborating, creating better applications in the Ethereum ecosystem using the Gear capabilities.
Can you give me an overview of what Gear.exe is and its primary objectives within the Ethereum ecosystem?
Absolutely. Well, Gear.exe is a decentralized compute network that provides this engine to Ethereum platforms, to Ethereum applications. So we're helping scale Ethereum, providing scalability, but without giving the problems that all layer 2 are giving to the Ethereum, like fragmentation. So we are only caring about the processing and making this really fast and cheap. So all the applications in Ethereum are able to use this technology, and we are bridgeless. So we don't need to care about that you may have 2 different tokens in 2 different blockchains, because we are not a blockchain. We are a decentralized compute network that provides the computational problem for scaling applications, basically.
Interesting. So Gear.exe is described as a bridgeless solution connecting layer 2s. So how does it achieve this integration without the need for traditional bridges?
Yep. Well, we need to talk about the first technology that Gear Foundation and Gear Technology created in the past, which is Gear Protocol. It's a WASM-based technology that provides really scalable solutions. So in terms of this, we have our network, which is a layer 1, and use this powerful technology, the Gear Protocol. But now we're using all this that is already proved with this layer 1 that we have 1 year in mainnet. Then we decide to move this technology also to the Ethereum ecosystem. Then the important stuff here is that we're only solving the problem that Ethereum has in terms of scalability. So we are bridgeless, as you said, and we are only connected to the two networks, Ethereum as a layer 1 and Gear.exe as a decentralized compute network, only through smart contracts. So we're only just sending the message to interact with different blockchains, and in this way we process only here the transactional stuff, all the computational elements that we need to improve, that we need to make fast, and after we only return the result to Ethereum network. So the settlement at the end is in the Ethereum network. It's possible to make it in one block only, so it's really, really fast compared with exists actually in the current environment that is blockchain with Ethereum.
Interesting. We've seen that Gear.exe offers up to 1,000 times increase in computational capacity. Could you elaborate on the mechanisms that enable such a significant enhancement?
Yeah, and it's related to the implementation of Gear Protocol, because we need to understand how is this possible if, for example, right now Ethereum is a great technology, but the problem is the scalability, right? The technology to start this smart contract revolution, when Ethereum started, it was really good to provide a Turing-complete solution that is not providing Bitcoin, for example, and now we can work with something called a smart contract, right? But the problem with this is that Solidity is not compatible with Parallelism. It means that all the processes are executing in a serial way, and the time it needs to be long. So this is a problem that is solving the layer 2s, and but we all know the problems that they are also providing. They solve the scalability, but they are giving more other problems to the ecosystem, like fragmentation. With this technology based on Gear Protocol, we use WebAssembly, which is approved technology in Web 2, but also we use Rust, which is a low-level programming language, with efficient memory management. Then we avoid to enter into some stuff like data race, which is our problems when you are interacting with the concurrent applications. And also we are providing this stack to developers so they can create really easy, fast, and secure applications. So all this technology enable that we are having the parallelism in the blockchain, and that's why we can reach this amount of transactions, and we can have this speed compared with Ethereum. But also, as I mentioned, this is really important to keep in mind that we are bridgeless. So we are not a layer 2 per se. We are not blockchain. Then we solve this with this engine, with this decentralized compute network using parallelism.
Understood. You brought up the point that you're not a blockchain, but you're a decentralized network.
Yep.
So do you have node operators? Do you have validators? Like, who's actually running the system? Yeah,
that's really necessary in a decentralized environment. If not, it's a centralized environment, right? And we already have that, and the applications in the blockchain ecosystem are using off-chain processes to improve the speed and lower the fees. But this is a decentralized network. Then we provide this mechanism to execute the transactions with Rust and WebAssembly together, with the virtual machine of WebAssembly that understands the binary created Rust compiler to WebAssembly, and this is implemented and understood by the virtual machines. After, when we execute all the processes, we use technology called symbiotic, with it's a really well-known technology in the Ethereum ecosystem. Symbiotic works with validators, so anyone can be part of this validators network, and they use different mechanisms of POS systems like staking, restaking, and so on. Then we're only using this Prove-It ecosystem, so they help us to validate the transactions. And after this is finished, then we can return the result into the Ethereum network.
Understood. Clear. So how can developers integrate Gear.exe into their existing projects? Are there specific tools or frameworks provided to facilitate this process?
Mm-hmm. First, we need to understand that if you are an Ethereum developer, you only need to add another component to your application to get access of these capabilities. Just imagine that you have some functions internally in your smart contract, and these functions, if you want to run it on-chain, it will be slow and it will be expensive, okay? Then this piece of code, you can move it to Gear.exe, but in order to do this, you need to understand the basis of Rust, because Gear.exe is based on Rust programming language. Then you create this piece of code in Rust, and then you send your smart contract into the blockchain. That's the only stuff that you need to care about as a developer. So you will get all the powerful of this network. And at the end, your smart contract only receive the results like if all this process were executed on Ethereum.
What resources or support does the Gear Foundation offer to assist developers in leveraging Gear.exe effectively?
Actually, we have different templates, so they can start this journey with Gear.exe. We already have a layer 1 called Vara Network, so this is also a proven technology that we started years ago. And now, with this proven technology, we already have templates, for example, so the developers that already understand this technology can move to Gear.exe exactly in the same way. For example, not only we are providing these templates, but also we have different features that is, those features are making really different the technology compared with another blockchains, like signless, painless transaction that makes the end user to interact with an application without knowing that they are using blockchain. So all this together is able to be used in Gear.exe for all the developers that want to implement it.
With Gear.exe aiming to provide Web2 grade user experience and near zero fees, what changes can end users expect when interacting with dApps utilizing this technology?
Well, reverse gas model, which is something really related to this question, is a key feature because, for the end user, we are giving functionalities like a Web2 applications, so they don't need to pay the gas fees on their own. We implement something called payless transaction. So the developers, the ones that create the application, they are able to put some tokens up front, and with these tokens, the user will pay the transaction, but without knowing this. Okay, so that's the reverse gas model, and we can think about different kind of business model implementations. So one developer, can pay upfront this, but just keep in mind that the fees here are really, really low, almost zero. Then that's not a problem. If you do this, you will provide to the end user really good user experience. Then it makes sense to have this kind of features and business model with reverse gas model. Yep.
How does Gear.exe maintain security and decentralization, especially when operating without traditional bridges between layer 2 solutions?
Symbiotic, which is the technology that we use in order to validate our transactions, plays a really important role in this. That's why it's a decentralized platform, right? We're not only running on our own servers, we're using this technology that is already there, but of course they need to run a node with this implementation. So the node needs to have the virtual machine and needs to be compatible with all our smart contracts. That's something that we already did, and it makes this decentralized environment, and anybody can participate. So this is important. Also permissionless, of course. Any developer can be part of this ecosystem. But on the other hand, if you want to become a validator, you are able to do that just applying to be part of symbiotic validators.
Clear. So talking about future developments and roadmap, what are the upcoming milestones or features planned for Gear.exe? How does Gear Foundation envision its evolution in the context of layer 2 scaling solutions?
Well, we don't usually talk a lot about roadmap for different reasons, because we want to say, hey, we are here and we are solving this right now. So far we are in testnet, and any developer that wants to try this technology is able to do it. But we can talk about the next year, the first quarter. We're going to launch mainnet. That's our main purpose now. Continue improving the technology and understanding also some other areas where we can add more functionalities, provide more efficient elements to the ecosystem. That's mainly our focus. So yeah, Q1 is really important for the technology to be launched on mainnet and work with developers in the real world with Ethereum applications.
So today, now we're at L2Con. I wanted to ask about your involvement here. So what brings you here? You're one of the main sponsors. What can you tell me about L2Con?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense for us to be part of this event, because layer 2 is the part of the ecosystem that is trying to solve the scalability problem of the trilemma in blockchain. And they are solving this part, but also they are given another problems like fragmentations, breaches, and all that security, different stuff that we have. But it works. Okay, let's maintain in this direction. It works in one sense. We are trying to fix the problems that they are not solving, which so we are a breachless technology. Then the purpose of this is to avoid entering into the problems that the layer 2 are giving into the ecosystem. So it makes totally sense to be part of this L2Con, because we are working at the same level of these technologies. But again, to mention that we are not a layer 2, we are not even a blockchain, but we are a decentralized compute network that are solving the scalability problems of right now Ethereum, but it's important also to mention that we are agnostic. So in the future, we can add functionality for this for another blockchains that wants to run parallel process with decentralized technology, which is Gear.exe, and return the result. But right now, we're focused on Ethereum ecosystem.
So let's talk about Gear's relationship with Ethereum. How does Gear Protocol complement and integrate with the Ethereum ecosystem? What value do you believe Gear adds for Ethereum developers and users?
We build an application platform on top of Ethereum, so it's kind of the way to deploy very modern reactive real-time applications on top of Ethereum, which are able to kind of integrate with everything Ethereum has, with all its users, compose with other DeFi applications, and access liquidity, and all this while having like a quick responsive UI and great computational power, and those things that exactly are working on the Ethereum mainnet. So I think those things alone are great, has great synergy with what Ethereum already has.
Gear uses WebAssembly, so which is different from Ethereum's EVM, right? So can you explain how this difference impacts compatibility with Ethereum?
So WebAssembly, yes, it can't be directly verified by Ethereum per se, but Ethereum kind of has this liquid staking possibilities that are kind of developed by many companies now. What liquid staking does is basically it allows you to secure pretty much anything, any statement, any execution, and so on. And so this really turns Ethereum itself plus all this restaking security mechanism as a kind of very universal and very very universal security layer just for anything, including WebAssembly, including experimenting with any other virtual machines that might be of some interest to some users. But for kind of application layer, I think WebAssembly or WebAssembly-like, might also be RISC-V. They're probably your best choice on if you want to maximize your compute power, which is basically application layer wants to do. It also kind of very widely used across the whole computer industry, because it is in every browser. Like it has a lot of standards. Guys like Google, Amazon, Apple, they all support WebAssembly in their browsers, and it's very widely used virtual machines, virtual machine of choice for basically all the internet right now. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if you are building application platform, you want to use some kind of this virtual machine.
I want to ask how Gear's scalability efforts compare to other layer 2 solutions.
We still kind of layer 2, despite of us not even being a traditional blockchain even. But the way it differs is that we actually treat every application as a kind of small rollup of its own with some strict rules of what this rollup cannot do. And then we kind of take Ethereum, all that happening on Ethereum, all of these small applications which can kind of directly interact with users as well. But users can also, from Ethereum, can also interact them through our Gear.exe network. And then we kind of treat this whole as a so-called rollup swarm, where we secure the communications between them, and their side effects on Ethereum and on users are performed in kind of secure fashion. But still, all of these small applications are basically small rollups on their own and can kind of act independently. If one of them, for some reasons, cannot process anything, that it's not processed. So it's kind of, and also because of that, we can run all of them in parallel, not only kind of parallel in terms of hardware, but in terms of consensus logic, where some parts of the network get finalized in parallel.
For Ethereum developers who may be curious about exploring Gear Protocol, what advantages would you highlight?
Yeah, working on Gear is more like Web 2 experience, because you basically write microservices like web-style, web-like services that just do their job. You don't need to know about any blockchain context. You just kind of develop as you are used to develop. And so we don't use Solidity. We use a well-established language such as Rust, for example, which is kind of very well designed for financial applications, especially because of many security features it has. And then the deployment is rather easy. Also, Rust and many similar languages kind of has this 30 years of experience in optimizing them across the whole kind of computer industry. So it's more like a traditional Web 2 development, if shortly, rather than blockchain development.
Are there any plans to attract Ethereum developers through grants, incentives, or other events?
Yeah, we do some grants. They're kind of not that kind of big. They're more like for certain useful for the whole network applications. So yes, we do some grants.
What role do you envision Gear Protocol playing in Ethereum's scalability roadmap? Do you see it as a complementary platform, or does it serve more of a standalone function?
Yeah, it's more like I think both, because there are also a lot of scenarios where you can use it as a standalone platform, which is able to kind of sometimes go to Ethereum to access as kind of users and liquidity and so on. But at the same time, you can improve already existing Ethereum applications by just providing this very massive computations for some particular functions they would like to see on Ethereum, but couldn't do it because of the limitations of the mainnet. So I would think about some data processing, like historical data processing, some additional storage with compute on top of it to serve some kind of functions for existing applications. And as a standalone platform, you can basically treat it as a modern development platform, for example, like, with utility like Solana, but on top of this utility, it's also able to kind of go to Ethereum liquidity pools and acquire value there and to interact with users and compose with other services Ethereum might have, be that rollup bridges or like a smart contracts.
What is your thoughts on the current stance of Ethereum, given that other alternative layer ones are taking a lot of attention, some liquidity as well? What do you think of the future of Ethereum holds?
Yeah, I think Ethereum outperforms them all, and especially now, like, innovation happens more on a user space. So that would be, for example, liquidity staking things, one of the biggest innovations. There are some innovations on protocol level, but still, despite of this being kind of slow, and it's understandable why it's slow, because like Ethereum is the biggest platform, and you really don't want to hurt anyone, so people lose money. That's why all the changes kind of are done very slow and reliably. But still, Ethereum outperforms pretty much everyone, even like Solana, I think, in terms of utility. So I see Ethereum as a universal kind of layer one security layer, and all the innovations should be happening around that. I mean, even first time, for example, people deploy the layer one solution, and usually first time what they're doing is some kind of bridging to Ethereum, right? Why wouldn't they deploy the solution that interacts with Ethereum on the first stage, on the first step? So.
How do you see Gear evolving and changing over time then, in respect to be compatible with Ethereum's future? How do you see Gear evolving in that regard?
One of the things we will do once is once Ethereum has a safe zero knowledge, safe and performant zero knowledge proof schemes, then we'll obviously use that, because it's like kind of improves the security structure, I'd say, very much. So on this side, we want to kind of utilize new zero knowledge schemes. Also, how we improve. We have a lot of functions, but in terms of composability and interaction with Ethereum, I think we pretty much have everything that we want at the current time. Real-time snarks might improve some like atomic composability with Ethereum probably, but it's really hard to say at this point how it should be designed.
So, what is the immediate next steps for Gear? Are there any updates or announcements coming up? What are you excited about Gear in the coming months?
Yeah, we now went live on Kholeski like a couple of months ago, and basically at this stage we are gathering partners and to be tested on Kholeski, like puts a few of missing features over there, and then I'm excited that we want to go on Ethereum mainnet somewhere at the beginning of next year. Those are our major plans.
Nice. Do you have any facts and figures that you can share about usership or like any protocols that are integrating and using Gear? Like any numbers that you can share with us?
We don't really aim at any protocol. We are more kind of focused on consumer retail applications. So there are some gaming applications that comes from Wire network, which we have some number on. So we did it this way that anything you develop on Wire network can be just without almost any changes, just pushed on Ethereum and work there. So we will get some of the guys this way, and also we just started on Khalevsky. Now we're kind of gathering all the partners for the kind of several months from now on.
Nice. Would you say Gear has a direct competitor, or how do you evaluate the competition in the space that you're building?
Yeah, there are two types, I would say, competitors. One of them being like zero knowledge oriented L2s, not this kind of as a casing style, but rather I think like Bonsai from X0 and also New Foundation are doing something like that. The difference there is that while we also want to use zero knowledge proofs, we won't use them at the right time. So like for a good application platform, you need, if you use zero knowledge proofs, you need them to be real time. So you have as little latency as possible. And currently zero knowledge technology a little bit kind of far from that. And we don't use it. Until it's become practical, we kind of piggyback on liquid restaking mechanism for securing the same thing. So this is basically our difference with them. And then there are layer 2 solutions, traditional, kind of already traditional, so to speak, like Optimism, Arbitrum. This kind of guys, with them we differentiate by, first of all, we are used completely different virtual machine, which is more resembles like actual traditional development in the Web2 spaces. Also, we don't have this liquidity fragmentation problem because we are also kind of composable with mainnet like from the start, from day one. We don't need this kind of bridging where you kind of wait for a week to get your funds from some rollup or whatever. Everything kind of happens in one kind of environment.
Is there any final words you'd like to share about Gear technologies, about LSUCon or like DevCon in general?
Yeah, I really would like to thank the organizers, obviously, who did a great job. A lot of people there, really a lot of people, quite surprised with that. And then everything that we build is kind of is a commodity, so we're completely open source. So we are happy to contribute into open source values, and also all products we build are completely permissionless. So we kind of here to serve the Web3 world as a whole.
I want to invite all of you that are building Ethereum applications to get access of this technology, which actually is one of the challenges for Ethereum right now. So all the developers and community that have been in the last years, we have seen how Ethereum is facing the scalability problems. And a lot of community around the world is trying to improve Ethereum by itself. We have layer 2 with rollups trying to provide a solution for the scalability, but with fragmentation. So we need to keep in mind that if we really want to provide options to the Ethereum ecosystem, we need to provide an option only for the elements that we need to improve. Like, for example, the processing. This is the real problem, not creating a fragmented ecosystem with new users, new wallets, and new tokens that will only elaborate a more complex ecosystem around Ethereum than If you want to build really fancy Ethereum applications, but in a faster way using cool and nice and fast technology, then the combination between Ethereum and Gear Foundation is going to be the best way.